front of Judge Locke. Basically, it was a hearing on the motion to dismiss that I had filed. The judge gave the Hattabos until next Monday to seek the advice of an attorney if they choose. Didn't make any ruling on the motion. I did receive a call from a lawyer Wednesday or Thursday of last week and reviewed the situation with him a little bit, but he hasn't called me back, so at this point nothing has been filed with the court. Another hearing has not been set, so whenever I hear anything, I'll send you an email or give you a call or something.
Any questions about that, or okay with that? Anything else on our previous business?
I think we probably discussed this quite a while ago, but John, did you ever get with Drew Wright on the rewording the ordinance for driving on the?
He and I have talked about it, but it's been a while, and at this point, nothing has been done. So I'll get back in touch with him.
We really need to get that. So
He and I did talk a couple of times and discuss some different things, but we haven't finalized anything. It kind of got put on the back shelf.
You got a copy of the ordinance now, Shane?
no, I don't.
I got a copy up there in the office.
Okay. I've read it, but I haven't got a copy of it.
And the basic goal is to exclude the rank, right?
Yeah, so they can't drive across that ramp, yeah. Ramp or the pad, they call them, don't they?
Sorry, back, man.
Yeah, they've got to stay in their lines marked. They're not doing it.
Few of them are, most are not.
Is it where they're coming into here for Kent's, or just?
I looked the direction with Kent and Chris, but then we've got people come up there. If I'm here and I see them come up there, I go out there and tell them, look, what are you driving up there for? Is to fill up a 5-gallon can. You can carry it through the gate or park up out here and just back the pump to the walk-through fence. It's not if it ever happens, it's when it happens. A plane and a car gets together.
Yeah.
Or if a pilot has to take his AC action to avoid a car.
Yeah, we talked about putting some signs up here showing, where the fuel and stuff that you ever get to.
Yeah, there's a sign out there.
Yeah, there's one small one though, isn't there?
Yeah, up there right at that far driveway. But he said, well, somebody told me it's okay to do it. I said, well, that person has got the authority to authorize it.
Yeah.
So, it happens probably 3 or 4 times a week. Somebody, if they come up here and ask and say, I've got 5, and this happened, I've got 5 cans and I need fuel. Okay, let me escort you back there to the pumps. I'm with you. And it has happened. You need a stumble block, a whole bunch not pilot, not familiar with operations, just Joe Blow off the. Well, my neighbor said I could get gas up there anytime I wanted to. Well, yes, you can, but you can't drive up there.
Well, that's what I said, if we had a sign out here big enough to direct people how to get fuel, you know, what they need to do, and then at that point, if people starts driving out there, then we do need to really address the situation. At this point,
Fine.
yeah, but I mean,
You don't have any authority for a fine.
Doesn't the city police on an ordinance?
We've got an ordinance, but who enforces it?
well, if we have a, you know, if we have a police go up there and look at it, if they've got an adequate sign that, you know, that's something they can read and follow directions to go in here and get gas, and somewhere on that sign is "Do not be on the runway."
The signs are out there, but they don't pay attention.
Well, that little sign out there, in all honesty, I can understand. I mean, I'm not, you know, I come in here quite a bit, I don't pay it, but I mean, you need something up here that's visible, you know, that catches their eye, that is there. If we're all going to do private sales and get the people to this way, and then at that point, if they don't want, you know, put the visible sign, then at that point, I think that we need to get a little tougher.
Well, a few people I've talked to, I didn't know that, thanks for reminding me, okay, just park out here and carry your 2-gallon can or 5-gallon can, and, you know, for some lady, and she can't carry it, I'm here, I'll carry it for her, and I've done that before too.
What do you think?
What is, we got to make, well, I called you about him, he came up there,
Yeah.
he had to come back.
Good.
Won't you put an electronic lock on that gate down there?
Well, we had one down there, but somebody's taking a circuit board out of it, and I can't find it. I thought sometime I'd go down there and tear the whole thing apart so I could find the manufacturer's name on it or something.
Yeah, we got that thing fixed one time, didn't we?
Yeah, right there one time.
That would help a lot, that would help, but then, you know, you're looking maybe about that, it's probably 15 years old, no parts are available for it, so
We
probably.
had that whole thing redone, didn't we?
Yeah, that guy from Jasper, I believe, come over here and fixed it, then the chain was froze up, and the city guys, well, they had trouble with the hose. They redone that, fixed it all up, and it was working.
Check with Pat and see who fixed that before and see if we can maybe contact them.
Yeah.
That would help us if we had limited access to it, or if we just had, you know, just certain people knew the code to get in.
Yeah.
But he had it all fixed.
Was someone from over there the ones that took the board out? Do you know who took the board out?
Speculate.
I think we spent $1,100 or something like that. He pulled the motors out, rebuilt them, put it back in, and then the chains froze up. I think Anthony and a couple of guys from City were working on it, got it all fixed up, going.
Well, it has been in operation for 3 or 4 years, you know, that at least, and, you know,
I don't know.
quite a while. So, you know, that would help the intrusion quite a bit.
Well, that's the first thing I think we did when we all got on.
Yeah.
I thought it was only like a year or so ago.
You know, that.
Mark Taylor was the one that came up here and met the guy. He worked for the city then. I come out here with Mark a few times. This is before Lowell started helping us.
So it's been longer than I think.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Sorry.
yeah, Mark's not been around for quite a while.
Okay.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
We'll check it out, we'll look into it, give me a week or 10 days,
But this guy worked for Kimball's, I believe. I talked to him up there, he was doing some kind of electronic stuff for Kimball's. And he stopped by here and done it for us. I can't think of his name.
that would help us with the tarmac intrusion there. But
But don't you guys think we ought to put some type of sign big enough that,
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
you know, something there, I don't know how to word it or where to word it to.
Thing to do is probably to get to Tom Walls with Lowell.
cheaper than the next guy. And I've really never understood that.
Well, if you can get these farmers to let you do some work for them on your reputation and not what it's gonna cost them,
Well, matter of fact, I've got 2 or 3 of them. About 90% of my work anymore is that way.
they know how to read it right.
I just don't bid anything anymore.
Really?
No, I mean, it's just like, you go out here, you know, something costs you $100, while the other guy, he'll do it for 90, first thing 80, well, next thing you know, they're doing it for $50.
Yeah,
And I'm like, you know, I can go broke sitting home.
yeah.
So I've decided that it costs this much to do. If you want me, fine. If you don't, okay. I'm going to do it. Okay. Do we want to try to open these next meeting?
Well, is there a time process on that?
Not really. I mean, by the time you get, it depends on how quickly you think you're gonna get it out in the mail or how you're gonna advertise on them. And you wanna give people enough time to be able to prepare something, but there's not really a,
So we're not in a hurry about it, but I mean, it's just something we want to do. Something we want to look at.
Well, you can, you know, it's probably gonna have to run 10 days at least in the paper. The chances are you won't be able to get anything in to the paper yet this week. So that means it can go in next week, which means it won't get published the week after. So you're 2 weeks out. You might wanna, let's see, you're coming into November. And you might want to target maybe 1st of December. That way you got ample time to do the paperwork.
yeah, because you'll need to have like an executive session, so go through all the qualifications and there's a scoring process with them, and
It's nothing official.
then.
That would give you ample time. You know, you could set some dates in there and have ample time to look at it. Not be concerned about getting jammed up on getting the notice published.
So we'd be looking in December?
Yeah.
I guess you send that form that we gotta have then, email that to us if we need to.
Yeah, do you want to send it to all of you, or just send it to Bob? I can send it to everybody.
Would you like to chair that part of it?
Not particularly.
Can we have a motion to that? Can we get you railroaded?
Yeah.
You had your head down, Bob, you should have your head down. I'll just send it to everybody, that way, once you guys understand the process.
John and Jason take care of it.
But can you guys do that, get the notice in and?
You've done that before, haven't you, John?
Never published a legal notice?
No, I'm talking about for the selection, qualification selection process. No? I can help you if you need some help.
All right.
Let's put
So,
that in.
so you want to be instead of Jason?
No,
Oh, okay.
no, I'm overwhelmed with other work, but I'll help John.
We, 5 to 6 pack of
There you go. There were a couple times I should have said video, but.
Rapid radio's on.
anything else in new business that you guys think of? Let's move on to your engineering report.
As we discussed, it looks like both trailers are being removed from the properties right now. So, good news there. Temple has been given their notice of award for the contract for base bid alternates 1 and 4. As we discussed, if you get the go-ahead from the city, this week, we'll go ahead and get the contracts finalized and get copies sent out for signatures. Last board meeting, there was a motion to approve those contracts.
I'll get on with the mayor tomorrow.
Bob, they're going up to, are we gonna have 2 and a 4?
A 2 and a 4 inch.
The 2's for us, the 4's for them for a later date.
Yeah, what it is the pump station you're putting in wouldn't work with a 4-inch pipe. It goes septic and it wouldn't run enough and you'd have issues. So the city chose to put a 4-inch in at the same time the 2-inch because with the trench already dug, their cost to install is much cheaper.
Okay. I disagree, but that's what we're gonna do. I don't think we need to spend the extra money on the 2. I don't see why we got to do 4, because then pumps will have the 4.
From our calculations, that's not what they came up with, but
So, if you're pumping into the hole, which that's what you're doing, whether you're pumping with what type?
what
Pumping it out.
What we discussed with the city at the meeting and with the sanitary sewer superintendent was that if you're gonna go with a 4-inch pipe and with how little flow that it's gonna be seen if only the terminal is connected to it, it's everything in that pipe is gonna go septic because it just sits in that pipeline.
I'll sit there anyway, whatever. I don't, like I said, I disagree, but we'll do what you want.
I don't think I said it floated down the hill.
Well, it's basically what it amounts to. I mean, you obviously understand your idea of your pump. But once you pump that in there, I mean, what's the difference? You got a 2-inch line versus a 4-inch line. We're spending the money on a 2-inch line that's virtually useless, and 4 inches going to lay there. We're building a nightmare.
Well, the 2-inch is sized for those pumps. The max capacity of those pumps can be pumped through a 2-inch line. So unless the city would come in at a later date and decide they want to upsize that whole pump station, you really don't need a 4-inch line. But what the city's doing is saying that if in the future there's development in the area, a 4-inch line and an upsize of the pump station is needed, that 4-inch line's already in place and there's going to be a much cheaper cost per linear foot.
We're
to
upsizing the
install.
wet well, aren't we?
No, the city chose not to upsize the wet well.
Okay. I thought we were going to let it.
No.
Okay, I think we're screwed up. We'll move on.
Like I had previously said, permits have been submitted. Also, I was going to bring up, I believe 2 months ago, Scott presented inspection fees, scoping fees for this project, and you guys reviewed those.
I think
Should have been 2 months ago. I don't know that a motion was taken on it because at the time, the city hadn't decided exactly what they wanted to do. So we weren't going to finalize that portion until the city determined how much of this project they were going to do, whether it was alternate 2 or alternate 3. So, but I know that he presented both part-time inspection fees as well as full-time inspection fees, and from what I gathered and what was told to me from that meeting, it was full-time inspection is what you guys wish to do. And at this point, we want to, if that's what, you guys reviewed that scoping fees, and I think you agreed with it, but what we'll now do, that that's where I believe you guys just reviewed them, and
I think that was already approved.
I just don't think it was signed. There was never any contract signed with that.
I think it is signed.
Okay, I can check. If it's not, we'll.
If it's already approved, Ronnie can sign it, we don't have to have another meeting.
Right.
Correct.
Yeah,
Is
you
that
guys
right?
have approved and signed it for me. Same way with the contract, as long as you've approved to have them sign it, then we're okay.
John, I don't think it has been. I believe the only thing that's been signed was the original design contract, but not the construction services side of it.
So I should then make sure that it's full-time inspection, because that's what you guys want, right? Okay.
I got the wrong notebook with me. That was me that had to take notes on the back side of the page.
You're right.
No, he's that cheap.
Oh. I wonder if you're selling this mess to supplement your income. I guess now. Everybody answered.
No, that's all fundraising
Oh,
stuff.
okay.
You don't want Don, no, that's enough.
I just finished mine off this afternoon.
They were great. I mean, yeah, I would catch
What?
myself getting
I just finished them off this afternoon before I came.
What can I do? I'm out.
You teach me how to do it.
John, so does a motion need to be made to go ahead and sign that contract then?
Is it gonna get amended?
It was an amendment to the original design contract is what it was.
So we need to wait and see what.
And that's,
Find out.
well, that's where, I apologize, I didn't bring copies of the scope and fees tonight, but two board meetings ago, those scope and fees were presented to you guys. So,
And you could make a motion to authorize Ronnie and Jason or Ronnie and Bob to.
Based upon what.
Contingent upon their review
Come up
and
with,
your,
yeah.
I just don't want to not make any motion to possibly get it approved if we're trying to get this construction.
You see, I don't want to make it where we have to have another meeting and post it 48 hours and all that and delay it.
Make the motion.
Okay. I make a motion that we authorize Ronnie and Bob and Jason to review the scope and
Scope and fees for
scope and
construction
fees
phase.
for the construction phase of the sewer. And if it meets the approval, then they're authorized to sign it.
So we got a second?
I'll second.
All in favor? Motion carried. I'll get the other
Will you email it to all of us?
Yeah.
So
Bob,
we
you
get it.
second it? Or Mark?
Mark. So yeah, once you tell us what the city's gonna do, then we can make sure that it's reflected that way, and we'll do the full-time inspection.
Really, that's
That way.
what we presented previously, the inspection fees won't change because there's no additional inspection to add another 4-inch line.
I'll be there same time.
Yeah.
We'll find out.
But they are gonna hold off till after the first of the year, though, on the sewer part, right?
The way they discussed it, they can get going on it this year, they'll do the sanitary this year as well.
Well, we talked about not doing that, make sure our grant money's coming in, they're basically they're not get paid for till next year, right?
Well, remember Pat said that she had the funds to be able to upfront that came from the,
And I didn't think we wanted to do that.
well,
The
the
way-
funds she's gonna be using are the ones that you got as a donation from the county. So that your funds are not city funds.
construction, so it's not actually the city's funds, it's the airport's funds that would be used.
Is that kind of our match money, or is that's some of our match money that we would be using, wouldn't it?
Yeah, but you don't need that to match any grants, because you just got your 2012 grant, so the next one you would get would be your 2013, which is part of what it is that you're using to pay for the rest of the sanitary, so you don't get any more match till then, yeah.
That comes September 2013.
Yeah, worst case.
In other words, we can replace that money we put in there
Right.
with the grant.
Right, right. But I think she even said that she had enough to do a match and still be able to do that, so yeah, I think you guys are in good shape, so.
Right here on the financial report says 184,000 in there right now for the airport improvement fund.
I mean, I think we've got ample funding, operations and grants and ability to do that, so.
We just wanna be careful, there's 184,000, but, you know, if we, you know, hopefully you'll secure some of these other grants coming through, and, you know, that sounds like an awful lot of money till you get to work, and it goes down pretty quick, so, you know.
Yeah.
But you guys, we wanna go ahead and do it that way, then go ahead and do it,
The more we can get done, the better.
yeah, that's true.
Show these good people in Washington County.
But I think once we get some activity out there, then that's, see something happen,
Yeah.
then it'll get a lot more positive, and then we've got to get positive on some stuff. And hopefully maybe somebody will come in one of the, move in that little tech park, and got utilities that are ready to go, so. You right at it. Anything else in your report?
Nope, that's all I got.
You did say, Cole wasn't getting any money,
Correct. Did you talk to her? Or they not back?
my hand still hurts.
No.
They're not gonna be near as congenial to be with next time, so.
They were congenial.
But,
I'm sorry that didn't work out.
that,
I certainly made myself a nuisance. So,
well, next time you need to, tell the FAA, you got your hands smacked, get their hands out, smack their hands. Tell them it all runs downhill.
they probably think they're uphill from me.
Nah, you don't think they're okay. You're up, you can sign this here at 12. Low?
I apologize, I didn't get a monthly report typed out, for obvious reasons. But our fuel sales was reasonably strong, we sold $4,875.42 worth of fuel since our last meeting. And we're gonna have to get another shipment in probably sometime first of next week. Tanks are getting pretty low. And the city did find me a door, so I'll probably start, if I have time, work on the closet every few hours next week, and then I'll get all the old papers out of that far office and start sorting through it and see what we need to keep and store that at the city hall, so I can mark the boxes and everything what it is. Well, of course, you know where I was last week at Plymouth, had a great meeting, really enjoyed it, made a lot of contacts. Talked to a few people from the Nation Guard and possibly using Salem as a staging area for anticipated practice runs we have, and made a few other contacts, and I forgot those notes there at home, somewhere at home.
Which one? The one you're moving into
Is
or
that what
out?
we went into somewhere, you won't believe the garage area, we drove in the garage tonight, I couldn't get out, my wife had to back the car out, get me out of that place. But anyway, but it's a great conference, I really enjoyed seeing everybody again, and meeting new people, and asking questions, and, it's a real benefit network like that. size of the conference that it's hard to find facilities. I mean, French Lick is just too pricey to have something out there. You know, they have accommodations, but it's just too costly. And I'll share with you the notes on the report. I'll get the report typed in the next 10 days or so, and give you a copy of it.
Yeah. We don't even read the movie, so.
Just getting everything. Had a lot of good tenants over at the museum. While I was up there, I got a couple of calls. Villagers want to come down to the airport sometime next month. Other than that, I'll probably get something, think of something on the way home I forgot.
Hartsfield,
Yeah.
has he checked with Pat and see if he's submitted any quarterly reports to her?
I mentioned to him about a month ago, and he made a comment that he thought it was supposed to be an annual report, but divided up in quarterly. And I don't think that's the intent at all of his contract. He's supposed to give us a quarterly update with a check, a quarterly amount. He's busy, he finished up his work down at Bowling Field about 3 weeks ago. He probably has 2 airplanes in the hangar now that he's working on.
Well, that's good.
And another one, probably I let him put another plane temporarily in the hangar. There was a customer that he couldn't get in right that day. But he has work here, and he's been here every day. I just missed one day last week, actually 2 days. I was here on Tuesday morning, and then go on to Wednesday, Thursday night. I got back early Friday morning. And we'll come home here and stop by here and saw some movement that's been out here. So, but he's doing pretty good right now. But I can mention to him again, John, if you want to, I'll see the project tomorrow.
Well, give us a 6-month. The contract says he's to submit a report every quarter.
Yeah.
But, that's what's in the contract, okay?
I think I've got a copy of his signed contract in my office.
Has anybody talked to her today? On her other
Yeah,
house?
I seen her yesterday.
Has they got anybody interested in renting it?
He's not really advertised it yet because they had no trouble with that atrium door. I thought he called me today. I want to know the update where he's at. He's pretty well done. But, he didn't want to advertise it until they were done.
Yeah.
Did you have to talk to her today?
No, I didn't talk to him. I was down there last week, and they've got the cabinets in, all the lighting and things inside. I forgot to walk around back and see if they put in the French door, because when they left, they took out the French door and they boarded it up.
Well, that was an odd sized door that they had the special order. And that's what they was waiting on it. And I think Irvin said that's about, they had just some minor things to do and before he was going to try to really want people renting until it was done. So
The people in the brewer house has really got looking nice. I think it's more well for them. I go by there really once a week, just to stop me and just kind of look things over.
he talked like about, he first said they get 1,100, you didn't know whether get that much or not. See what you come up with and talk to us.
We get that running, that's a good kicking
That's
pants on match money.
Well, we're gonna get that 20,000 paid back first, but we used to repair it. But once we get that, then we don't want to.
Yeah, that's a nice property.
Yeah, it is.
On the brewers, are the tenants supposed to mow the rest of the grass or just the yard?
I think we're supposed to know all of that, it's whatever told them there.
Okay.
The part of nothing,
Well, all the fenced in area, they're just mowing the
Oh, okay.
in the yard.
I guess, I don't know whatever the contract.
Steve used to mow, keep that all mowed. So I was just curious.
I talked to the guy the other day, Keith Humphrey, he got Bill Cole's baled his hay, and he thought he might be interested in that cruise if, Keith asked me about it, said he got a little hay there off the
I
bills.
think we need to wait and see what it looks like after we get that home out of there.
Well, you know, it'll have to be cleaned up some,
Yeah.
I'm sure. I think it's walking in the,
Your friend that you mentioned to about helping me with the doors, his name's Smith
Campbell.
Campbell. So somebody came by last week and left his car in the bulletin board out there through. And, I thought it might have been your friend that you should, see if he helped me with that door or the handle.
If you want to do that next week, I got a guy that'll be available to work, to do that. I'm gonna be out of town next week.
Have him give me a call, because I may still be able to do it next week.
But,
Yeah.
If it's not
Give
on
me
the
a
other
call.
side of your head, then.
What?
If it's not on the other side of your head, then.
Don't ask me about that. Yeah.
I'll have him holler at you, and if it works out next week or whatever you want to,
Yeah.
we'll see if we can't work it in.
I think we got about $825 in budget to do that. I got a copy of it in there to cover that.
Okay.
Now, I want it done right. We don't have to have it there for at least 3 more years. Thank goodness John Tabor hasn't been wanting to get there cleaning out or get that real problem.
You got anything else?
I'll probably think of something on the way home, but as it is right now,
Well,
I apologize for not having it all typed up like it done last year.
through all of it, we understand. Is anybody signed up over there to speak?
Corey Harper from BFS, Ken Ross from